Hello, Targar friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for another Orc Mode workout. Today was max effort press day, but not really much of a max effort. I didn't even take it to a max. But a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos, please click like down below. It would be greatly appreciated. And we're having a good day, and a lot of you guys saw, you got a lot of lifting footage from a bunch of my clients earlier that I just put up. And a lot of that was just randomly selected. Some people are like, why didn't you put the weights on? Because I just pulled a bunch of random ones out of my saved folder. I didn't go through them that closely. I just wanted to give some examples for people because people were curious, you know, and people are saying, oh, do you really have a bunch of clients lifting big weights? Yeah, I got a lot of lifters lifting big weights. And we're going to have kind of an announcement coming up in the next few days too. My most famous client is ready to go public after we put a lot onto his squat and deadlift in the last few months. So we'll cover that later. I went up with just 40 pounds of change, went up to 275 and stopped. And I think for just a bit, I'm going to focus on not doing a lot of pressing. I'm still going to be doing maxes. I think I want to do more floor work, more floor pressing, and just keep building up the pressing muscles. Now that my shoulder's rehabbed and I can do all this stuff, I've just got to build all the muscles up. So I need to maximize the size of my pecs, delts, and triceps, along with obviously all my back and upper back and everything else, which we do on the upper day too. So I decided to just kind of base loosely off the last time I did a axle bar floor press max, which wasn't that long ago. And I probably went too light because I did the last set and I got 13 reps. Because I just threw 210 on, which is, you know, relatively hard for me on this, and it felt challenging, but I knew it wasn't failure. Just to get a feel for it, I'll ramp it up next time, or I may even try to max on that lift coming up on this variation again, which is the axle bar. Because I did 10-10 and then I got 13 reps. So I wanted to get some floor pressing in. And I think floor pressing and dips are going to help me a lot just for the general chest. And I feel like incline will finish the rest of that and really handle my shoulders. Because if I'm going to do all this snatch grip work, like the hang pulls and everything, I feel like my shoulders are getting a lot of work. I don't need to double up on incline and overhead right now. Right? I'm wasting pressing energy that could be going towards things that will build my chest and my shoulders, not just the shoulders right now. And I can do more specialized overhead work later, but honestly, I feel like if I just build the incline back up, my overhead press will climb anyway, so I'm not worried about it. But I'm going to work on the things that I need to work on. Floor pressing tends to carry over to my benching pretty good. Dips are just a great all-around upper body hypertrophy exercise, right? Particularly for the chest. So I made that decision, and I want to keep working the incline because it represents an enormous weak point, and it works the upper chest, delts, and everything amazingly well, which I need for any sort of closed grip benching. But I feel like if I work on the dips and I do some of the floor pressing with a wider grip like this, because this is pretty wide as far as the floor press goes, then I'll be a little more well-rounded. I'll probably still always be strongest at closed grip benching, but I feel like doing some of this will give me more options. I need to just get these muscles bigger and stronger. All the benching muscles. And this is a good combination, and this stuff I can do variations of. You know, floor pressing, I can rotate bars, even for the rep work. You know, I can always do some different stuff with the dips. I can even just change where I grip the dips because I have the V handle bar. But I'm doing them on the wider one, which you guys will see in a minute. Went up 5 pounds on the pen leg rows. So now we did 240 for 3x10 strict. And as you guys saw Coach Butler come in and comment the other day, and there was a whole conversation started on that. He's like, guys, if you want a 600-pound deadlift, this is how you have to row with 225 or 230 for sets of 10. He pointed that out. This can't be the amount of cheating people do. Right? There's a little bit, but very, very little. Very, very little body travel. I'm not using hip drive. Right? And so a lot of the guys were like, well, I can row this amount of weight, but then you see their rows and they can't row that amount of weight. Okay? And notice that the start of each rep looks like a deadlift. Okay? It looks like a deadlift. Right when I'm at the floor, the first inch off the floor, it looks like a deadlift. Okay, this carries over to your deadlift. It's the reason I do them strict like this. But we need all that back development, obviously, for benching for stability also. Okay. Building thicker lats and a thicker upper back has never hurt anyone's bench press. We can argue a lot because there's a lot of controversy about that as to if they contribute or not to the actual movement. I've explained before why they do and shown why they do. It's not for the reasons that people think. Lats can absolutely help you out of the bottom of the bench, but it gives you more stability. Dips, because I just started doing them again last workout, they were too easy. I went up to a 55, and honestly I can go heavier than this because I did 2 sets of 10, and then I did a set of 12. This might not be the best camera angle now that I look at it, because I haven't looked at this footage yet. I've actually put it all in here, and just now I'm seeing some of this footage for the first time. Definitely those. But with the 55, decent. I can probably go up a hair. I can probably go up another 5 and just keep trying to get 10s, because again, we got 10, 10, and then 12. Because I just decided to take the last set out and see how far I could get. But enormous amount of chest involvement today. So I noticed my chest, I definitely felt it big time on the floor press, which I always do. But then following up with the dips after that, the chest activation was very, very, very high. And it makes sense that it would be, because these two lifts combined together, when you look at the data on them and the EMG data, the floor press seems to, at least in EMG, hit the pecs harder than the flat bench. Now, we can speculate as to why that is, and it has to do with the way you have to control the eccentrics. So we could argue that it could be the fact that you have to focus on the chest more. So that's what causes it, and it may not be guaranteed that it's actually causing more muscle growth. And that's okay. But it still hits the chest very hard. And it's more shoulder safe. So I can do wider grip floor pressing without irritating my shoulders to the same degree that I do bench press, given that shoulder issue. But that combination really, really hit them hard, and I still felt a lot of tricep. Then I went with my supine grip inverted rows again, because again, I feel like this hits a lot of my weak areas, my biceps, and it hits the lower lat and stuff a little more than the overhand grip does, which again, that whole middle back area down there with the lower trap, lower lat insertion seems to be a possible weak link on my squatting. So this helps with it. And again, it's my one real supine movement for the biceps. So I'll push it a little bit hard. I added another chain today, and I still got at least 10 reps on every set. And I think I ended up doing 11 on the last 2. So it ended up being more than 10. I may be able to just go ahead and increase the weight again further. And obviously I clipped those because getting the chains on and off is a little bit of a pain. On the 3rd set, just as I was reaching failure on the 11th rep, though, one of the chains slid off. That's the one downside. Now, the perk of the way I have the chains doubled up like this, they're completely off the floor. It's basically just acting like weight. And it's much more comfortable than putting plates, because that's 51 pounds of chains. So, again, a lot of weight to be added there, but there it slipped. But I was already reaching failure anyways. Then the incline. I had said last time, the incline, now that I've started doing it again, it's coming back up. My shoulder is rebuilding. It was too easy. I needed to go up 10 pounds. So I went up to 155. And we kind of got the same thing, though. I think I ended up doing 12 reps on the last set. So I did my 2 sets of 10, all paused, closed grip, and then I got 12. So I think we're back in a situation where I better just keep adding weight to this. I probably won't do another 10. I'll just do 5, 5, 5 until it starts to get real heavy. But, as long as I can keep getting more than 10 reps on the last set, we know that we have pounds in the tank. So I need to keep adding weight. And hopefully that keeps coming up relatively quickly. I would like to get that back up to 185 for 10s. Would be a nice short-term goal to reach for. And I feel like that's completely doable. Because when I first started doing this again a few weeks ago, 115 was harder than I thought it was going to be. But my shoulder's feeling a lot better. They felt slightly irritated, I think, on the dips, but not terrible. But again, I may have a little bit of scar tissue still in there. But at least all the range of motion, mobility is good. And strength is coming back up. And I feel like, again, this incline will really address the weakest links I'm seeing in my bench technique. So it'll help with all that. And then obviously I need to just keep hammering triceps. But that's going to be the name of the game, guys. I've got to build up my upper body. I need my delts, my pecs, my triceps all just get bigger. And I need to keep maxing on random lifts. So instead of just the band and chain stuff, I'm probably going to do more floor pressing. I'll probably start doing more pin pressing. And I think we're going to see a lot of that with my deadlifting also. I'm going to take a cue from the west side guys and start doing different rack pulls below the knee, right? I have probably 3 different pin heights I can do. So we may see that for tomorrow. I may start deadlifting off pins. Again, I've only done it on camera once, but again, it will be below the knee, not above the knee, which I've covered in the past. I'm still against above the knee rack pulls for all the reasons I stated over the years. I had a whole list of reasons. None of those changed. Below the knee is not the same concern. So it may be what I do with that. So we may mess with different heights on pin presses also. I might mess with a couple different heights and then rotate through a couple different bars on floor presses, things like that. Snatch grip high pulls, the first set I didn't grip it really wide enough, and I could tell. It felt way too easy. I went up 10 pounds again because I've recently started doing these again. And because some of my lifters respond well to them. In fact, you saw one of my guys doing more weight than this for I think about 12, 13 reps in that clip I did today. Okay? A lot of my guys respond really well to these. And that's the perk of coaching this many lifters. When you have at least 10 lifters who are very advanced lifters, and you watch how they respond to things, it gives me a lot of data to work with. And I think people were surprised at some of the things they saw lifters doing, like one of my guys doing a Zercher off the floor. I had a few people like, wow, I didn't think you programmed stuff like that. It's like, well, because you don't know what I do, right? Because I don't publish everything with my coaching. So yeah, I do a lot of things like that, depending upon an athlete's needs. Because I have people who compete in a lot of different sports. And that's what people have to remember who watch these things. You're seeing just my training and YouTube channel. This is not what I do full time anymore. It's not. It hasn't been for a long time. I coach 7 days a week. Okay. And a lot of that knowledge gets trickled back into the channel. But these gave a nice good shoulder burn today. I probably again need to increase the weight because I went ahead just on the last set and said, well, can I get another rep? Yeah, and I just grabbed an 11th rep. Like, okay, I can definitely keep bumping these up. Ideally, where do we need to get this? 225 for 10s would be a good short-term goal as far as where I need to take this lift. Just like we need that incline up to 185 for 10. Get this 225 for 10, combine those two together. My shoulders are stronger. Between those two movements, we've got my shoulder development covered. And keeping in mind, guys, I do rear delt flies at least 3 sets after all this. I do it later in the day. Probably while this is rendering, I'll go do my first set. Then I did my tricep exercise. I could not get these to feel right today. No matter what I did, I never got them to feel right. And I may need to adjust what I'm doing again on this. Again, my version of the JM press, we'll just call it the tricep exercise. I actually had someone say, well, why don't you do it exactly like Blakely shows? For the same reason that some world record holding bench pressers do it way closer to what I do than what he shows. I can't ever get it to feel right. Okay. I can't get myself into the positions that he does unless I go down to such a weight that I don't really feel like my triceps are getting any work at that point. It basically just, I don't see any difference from doing a skull crusher. If a JM press is supposed to be a hybrid between a skull crusher and a closed grip bench, but you're just doing a skull crusher with a straight bar, is what it feels like for me when I try to do it that way. And it's the same weight I do with a skull crusher by the time it's done. And I'm like, at that point, I'm just going to be hammering my tendons and doing a skull crusher. But that's just how I feel about it. But it's neither here nor there. But today I just couldn't get them to feel right. This is the only movement I was not happy with today. Everything else felt great, got everything flowing, and then I get to this and it just did not ever feel the load in my triceps the way that I normally do. Like even last workout, I got a really deep tricep burn. And I felt like these were limit sets again today. I didn't get that deep tricep burn. So either I need to go back and adjust what I'm doing with this lift again, because I was getting that tricep burn even when I felt like I was doing it like this and I was up to 185 before. But now, not so much. I might mess with some other tricep stuff. I might reevaluate the way I'm doing this lift, adjust it. It might require me to reduce the weight a little bit. But it just felt like I was doing shoulder work no matter what I did. So I might mess with, I'll consider an alternative. I might mess with the floor skull crushers again. I really liked those. And I've been doing those for a few weeks right before I hit that 352 closed grip bench again. If you guys recall, if you go back and look at that, I was actually doing that as a tricep exercise. I might mess with it again. Although most of my lifters get great results from the JM press. Then I finished off with just a set of hammer curls to make sure my forearms and biceps got fully worked. I don't want to go overboard on these because they do fatigue the grip and I have to pull tomorrow. So I did just my one set for today, just to get a good pump, finish everything off. And my biceps are trashed by taking these to failure. And I feel like every time I've done these, I pick up a rep or two. I pick up a rep or two in the last few workouts doing them. So I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.